Let's go ahead and look at where we stand right now with these crazy colonies. All right, so where we left off, England is pretty much, Great Britain is pretty much the biggest kid on the block here in North America. You had the Dutch here in New Amsterdam, not anymore, it's now New York, okay? The Spanish were down in Florida area, they're gonna disappear before too much longer.
I'm sorry I'm late, Mr. Johnson.
You're
I
okay.
had internet troubles.
You're having what kind? Oh, internet troubles? Yeah, we were just having internet troubles here, so no problems, no worries. We're just glad that you're here with us today. So as I was saying, the only other real rival here in North America is going to be the French. Now, the British and the French are enemies from way back when, okay? They've just been going at it for dominance of Europe and dominance of the seas and this, that, and the other thing for years, okay? So when things start getting ugly here in North America, it's really no big surprise, okay? I guess the biggest surprise is that this kind of this conflict actually started off in North America proper. Typically, these things would have started off in Europe. The colonies would have gotten their word that we're at war with the French, and then they would have fought each other. But since it started off in the colonies first, it kind of put a little funky twist on things, all right? Well, why are these guys going to fight? Why are the colonists and the French going to fight? It's over control, okay, of the Ohio River Valley. Americans, British colonists are wanting to start moving west, all right, crossing the Appalachian Mountains because there's some great farmland out that way. There's also lucrative fur trade as a result of that, the animals that are up and along that Ohio River Valley area. And so they're wanting to get a hold of that territory. At the same time, the French trappers and the French people have been moving into that same area, doing the same thing. And as this is all going on, you've got the indigenous people that are living there that are like, who do we side with? We don't want anybody down here personally. Which person is going to be the person that, or which group of people is going to be the one that's going to cause us the least amount of harm, okay? That's what they're thinking. Additionally, what's going to be at issue here is the life and soul of North America, all right? As you can see in this map, that the British colonies are, this is actually isn't a very great representation, but it gives you an idea, okay, that these colonies British colonies are all along the East Coast over here, okay? And you've got the French in this area as well. And so there's still kind of an iffy way as to which North America could go, all right? It could very easily, flip over and become a French colony, French-dominated colony. It could very easily just keep the British in one small portion of North America. So we've got that kind of a thing going on as well. All right, so when the British colonists, all right, kind of are having some beef with the French over the Ohio River Valley, they decide to make a move, all right? And they're going to make a move towards what is known as Fort Duquesne, all right? Yep, D-U-Q-U-E-S-N-E, okay, is French, and it's pronounced Duquesne, all right? They're going to make a move to capture this fort. Well, they've got a stronghold over here. Let's take that stronghold, and that'll give us control of this area. They try it once, it fails. They try it two, it fails again, all right? By this time, the British government is going to be like, all right, they couldn't do it on themselves, so let's go ahead and get in there and help them out a little bit, all right? And so they're going to declare an all-out war on France. I am super oversimplifying this issue, okay? Super oversimplifying it for our purposes. There's a lot more that goes along with this, but for our purposes, didn't capture Fort Duquesne, Britain got involved, and now we've got a full-out war between Great Britain and France, mostly taking place on the North American continent. Now, initially, the French are going to yeah, baby, we got this, and they're going to be super victorious, all right? Why is this happening? Well, King George is not a big fan of the colonies. He likes what he can get from the colonies, okay? He likes kind of the prestige of having this, but he doesn't consider the colonists as being really, true British citizens. You're way over there, you're not over here. That mindset is going to cause him all sorts of grief down the line, okay? Woo-wee, you don't even know. Well, maybe you do, but it's going to cause him grief somewhere down the line. But for right now, it's causing him grief because the colonists are losing to the French in all these little battles that they're having. And we could very well be speaking French right now if it wasn't for William Pitt, who was the Prime Minister of England. All right. Now, he is a lord. He has a lot of wealth, influence, okay, and control, but he's not a member of the royal family. He has to work to get to where he is. Yeah, he had some inheritance. He had some kickbacks here and there, but he recognizes a working man, essentially, okay, that these colonies have a lot of value for England, not just in terms of resource, but in terms of world prestige and power. And he's thinking to himself, man, if these colonies go down to the French, we are in a bad way. And so he's going to take over this action over in North America, and he is going to put the full British Army behind the colonists and dealing with the French. All right. British troops are going to be landing in North America to help out. The British Navy is going to come into full play here and help cut the French forces off from their homeland, resupply the British forces, and before too much longer, you know, the British forces are going to win this battle. All right, win this war. And the lines will be drawn as to what area is going to be controlled by the French and what area is going to be controlled by the English. Now, the colonists are thinking, woo, we won this thing. Yeah, we spilt our blood. We got to fight. Yeah, life is good. All right. And they are thinking, now we can cross the Appalachian Mountains. Now we can get into the Ohio River Valley. Life is really going to be good for us here because we can make more money. We've got more opportunity. All right. And the British government is going to be like, yeah, not so much. Not so much, okay? The reason why we had this daggone war is because you were beefing with the French and the Native Americans. If we could prevent you from beefing with the Native Americans and possibly the French again, life will be good. So they're going to release the Proclamation of 1762, which is basically going to keep the colonists east of the Appalachian Mountains, okay? Down here in little Georgia and Western Florida, they've got more territory over that way, okay? But this whole area that's in green on this map on the slide here is the land that the colonists wanted to move into. And the king is going to say, no, sir, you can't do it. And so the colonists are going to be like, man, you're inhibiting our freedom. We done this. Yeah, there are going to be some colonists that are like, screw it, we're going over anyways, okay? But, you know, the other folks are just going to be complaining about the situation and starting to feel a little bit resentful towards Great Britain, all right? Oh, poor Great Britain, poor Great Britain. They're going to sit back and they're going to look at their treasury after this war and they're going to be like, woo, this war cost us a lot of money, okay? Yeah, we showed the French, but now we are paying for it, okay? Or we'd like to be paying for it, but we can't because we ain't got no money, all right? They've spent all this money to fight the war. They've got to maintain an army in North America just to be on the safe side, and they've got to figure out what they're going to do. Well, how are we going to pay for this stuff, okay? And how are we going to reduce our debts? Well, those North American colonists, they are kind of second-class citizens, and we only went over there to fight because of them. They should have to pay for this. We're going to increase taxes on the colonists. Yes, sirree, that's what we're going to do, all right? And so they do this, and the colonists are like, what the heck is going on over here, all right? Now, the colonists for themselves have had a history of kind of smuggling to avoid paying taxes here and there, and the British had, you know, turned a blind eye to some of these activities. But all of a sudden, the British are like, yeah, that whole idea of salutary neglect, not anymore. We're coming after you, and we're coming after you big. So now all of the smugglers who didn't fight, okay, who had some other purposes that they may have served, who are fairly happy with the way things are going. Yeah, I'm not a farmer. I don't care about that area. Now all of a sudden they got something to complain about. The merchants have something to complain about, okay? Because the British are starting to dig into their pockets a little bit deeper than they had in the past, and we don't like it. As a smuggler, okay, if you get caught now, before they was just like, all right, stop smuggling, all right? And then you go back and start smuggling again. Now you're going to get thrown into court, or you're going to get thrown into jail and brought before what's known as a vice admiralty court. These courts aren't like regular courts where you've got a judge, jury, and all that kind of stuff, all right? It's a tribunal. You got 3 Navy people, British Navy people, of course, asking you a few questions. They're going to say that you're guilty, okay? And they're going to take your property. They're going to throw you in jail, okay? And there's nothing you can do about it. So no trial by jury of your peers, okay? No sort of a due process, but not much of a due process. All right. Colonists are going to start to get really, really ticked off about this. We can't move over, okay? We can't do this smuggling thing. We can't do this. We're paying higher taxes. So from one small group being ostracized, more and more and more people are being ostracized by the British government. And that's important to know. So if you think about it, dang, you fought for the British, you did all this stuff, and now you got to pay for it? Really? And now we can't go out and benefit from all of our efforts and I still have to pay for it? What? Now we're being charged with things and not being treated like a regular British citizen. Something's going on over here. And that's what a lot of folks are going to say. But guess what? It only gets worse. It only gets worse. All right? Again, Britain needs to get some money. How are we going to get money? We're going to tax the colonists. What are we going to tax? We're going to tax sugar and a few other things. Okay? It's called the Sugar Act, but it's also known as the American Revenue Act. And the idea is that they're going to tax a whole lot of imported goods coming into the colonies, all right? Remember, with mercantilism, the colonists will make stuff, all right? They have to ship it over to England or ship it someplace else and then import it back into the country. Go figure, all right? And so when it comes back into the country, we've got to pay a tax. You mean I could have made this table and just snuck it down to Steve's house, sold it to him, all right? But I got to now pay to export it. Steve's got to pay an additional tax on it when he buys it because of this new import tax. And folks aren't going to be that happy with that, all right? Merchants are going to be like, it's hurting our business. And this isn't just for the stuff that the Americans are making, shipping over to England and bringing back. It's all the other stuff that they can't develop here in North America that they're having to pay higher taxes on, okay? Folks think it's going to hurt trade. At issue, again, parts of the Sugar Act, all right, or the American Revenue Act are going to violate national trading rights, okay? If you get accused of smuggling, you are no longer just being found innocent, or you're no longer innocent until found guilty. You're guilty until found innocent, all right? And your ships or whatever can get seized by the British Navy. So you're losing out a whole lot, all right, if you do anything to violate these acts. Your rights are being violated. More and more and more people are becoming discontent with the British government. If the Sugar Act wasn't bad enough, the British are going to up their taxation game, okay, with what is going to be known as the Stamp Act. And the Stamp Act is not just a tax on stamps, okay? It's a tax on any paper product manufactured or brought into the colonies. All paper products. All ledgers for documentation, all newspapers, okay? Anything that goes on paper is being taxed. And that's going to hurt folks a whole lot more, okay? And the colonists are starting to say, dang, you know, an average guy would have been like, well, I'm a brick maker, so I don't have to worry too much about trade. I don't have to worry too much about farming, but as long as I can write all of my stuff on my ledger here and keep track of what I have to pay tax on my ledger, really? I got to pay a tax on that also? What's going on over here? Again, more and more and more people are being affected by these taxes. And, you know, folks are starting to question, why are we constantly being taxed? We don't even have a right to vote in Parliament. We don't even have a seat at the table, yet they're taxing us. Something has got to be done about this. And as more and more of these taxes and these different acts come into play, folks are getting angrier and angrier. They are doing, yes, we still have smugglers, okay? And we still have folks that are doing, you know, are refusing to pay taxes and whatnot. Yes, those folks are getting thrown in jail, all right? But the idea is that more people are becoming dissatisfied with the relationship between the colonies and with Great Britain, okay? Colonial response to the Stamp Act, we're going to start promoting the ideas that colonists can only be taxed by colonial governments. Yeah, I'll pay tax to Pennsylvania government, but I'm not paying tax to the British government, okay? Most importantly, the colonists are going to start boycotting British-type products, all right? They're going to start boycotting British products, which is going to hit the British government in their pockets, which they don't like, all right? And it's going to cause them to start acting a little bit crazier. Oh, and by the way, we get the formation of the Sons of Liberty, Patriot organization. Today we would call them a terrorist organization. Back then they were the good guys, okay, because they were going against British rule, all right? What else? So we then move into the Townsend Act or the Revenue Act. All right. Now we're not just going to target paper. We're not just going to target sugar. We're not going to target certain imports. We're just going to go ahead and hit everything. All right. Everything that we can possibly tax, we're going to tax. All right. You think you can get us by, making your own paper or not using British paper? Ha ha. All right. Try writing without any ink. Try doing this without, your common everyday stuff that you get from Great Britain. And that's where the problem is going to come into play. You smugglers think you can smuggle? Well, guess what's going to happen to you if we catch you smuggling stuff? Now, the Americans were some darn good smugglers, okay? And a lot of folks got away with it for a long time. And a lot of folks made a lot of money off of smuggling, all right? But things are starting to get to the point where it's like, good God almighty, all right? The government can now break into my house any time of the day without with a writ of assistance, all right, which is basically a blanket search warrant, and come looking for anything. We think you're smuggling. I'm not smuggling. I'm not doing anything. We're coming in to look. Where's your? Oh, you have a search warrant. Okay, but those search warrants were again for any house, anytime, for anything. So if I just have a hunch somebody is smuggling, I don't have to go to a judge and get permission to do this. I mean, I'm just going to go in with this blanket writ right here. And folks are going to get really, really pissed off about it. Again, the issue of taxation without representation, the issue of no due process, okay? You're guilty. You're going to jail. No, I need to be tried by a jury of my peers, okay? None of that stuff is happening. And then these blanket search warrants, no bueno, no bueno. As I had said all along, folks are going to start getting really pissed off about what the British are doing. And there are going to be those folks that are doing their best to usurp the system, okay? The British are saying that we can't do this, well, we're going to do it anyways. We've got the Sons of Liberty, okay? They're going to print pamphlets and do things and tell folks and encourage folks to act a certain way to kind of really piss the British off and maybe get the British to come to the table and start treating us like human beings. Okay, that's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. Unfortunately, in the fall of 1768, okay, things are going to start getting really ugly. All right, Massachusetts, which is where the Sons of Liberty are located, has really become a thorn in the king's side. All right. He's seeing that there is just a lot of political dissent going on in that area, and so he's going to send troops over there to kind of, one, protect British goods, all right, because some of these Sons of Liberty guys, they're destroying British property. They're destroying tax collector houses. They are destroying printing presses, all right? The British government doesn't like that, so they're going to send in troops to protect their supplies, all right, to kind of keep order in the streets, to let the British citizens know what's going on, all right? So they do this, but what's going to happen? These guys are going to do what they always do, all right? They're going to taunt the police. I mean, the British troops, all right? They're going to taunt them. They're going to make their life not very easy. And for a British soldier, being deployed to the colonies was not one of your favorite duties, okay? Not so much at all. Everybody hates you because you're a British soldier. And in February-March time period of 1770, okay, a group of citizens is going to be doing just that. They're going to be taunting some British soldiers one night, throwing snowballs at them, giving them all sorts of grief, and someone's going to yell, "Fire!" Was there a fire down the street? Was there a fire up the road? Okay, who's to say? But that command to fire meant that British soldiers let loose on a crowd of innocents, on a crowd of civilians, on a crowd of non-combatants. And as a result of this thing, 6 people will be killed, one of them being Crispus Attucks, who was the first African-American killed for justice when African-Americans really weren't even citizens back then. Huh. Interesting, isn't it? All right. So we're going to have that happening. And this particular event, the Boston Massacre, as it becomes known, all right, is going to start getting the people to talk and start getting people to moving to action. Yep, we have the Sons of Liberty, which is our, that rabble-rousing, pseudo-terrorist patriot group going on. And back then they were truly patriots. I'm just saying in today's perspective, they are kind of on the terrorist, spectrum there. But now, you know, some folks who maybe were more law-abiding citizens who believed in the British colonies, or the British Crown rather, they're going to start questioning this relationship a lot more. It's bad enough that, you know, we fought this war and now we can't reap the benefits. Now you are, you know, arresting people without cause, okay, with these writs of assistance. You are not letting people be tried by juries of their peers. Now that goes way back to early British times, and you're taking that away from us. You're not treating us as British subjects, as British citizens, when we think of ourselves as citizens of the British Crown, okay? And it's going to make things really, really ugly moving forward. It's going to be the deciding factor, this here Boston Massacre, and getting folks to start to organize formally to figure out how to deal with their relationship with North America. Their relationship with Great Britain, not so much North America. All right. That is where we are going to stop for today.